back to Silver Nugget Adventure. Today I'm going to just share a short electrical systems update. This video should be watched in conjunction with episode 10 of Exploring the Nugget series, the electrical systems. In this episode I'll be covering some mistakes I made in that video, but also some tips that have been shared with us from our wonderful subscribers. Let's start with the corrections. The first mistake we made was that the leisure battery is not under the driver's seat, it is actually under the passenger seat. This is clearly marked in the owner's manual, but Catherine told me otherwise. Of course, you should always listen to your wife. I've now corrected that through the help of the subscribers, so yes, the leisure battery is under the passenger seat and the starter battery is under the driver's seat. The second mistake we made was in the number of power outlets. There are actually more than we realised. We have found these through living with the van, as they're not explicitly detailed in the manual. This is one of the issues we've had since owning the van, is that the manual that we had is mainly for the European version of the Nugget, and therefore it's not always accurate. So let's go through it. There is a 12 volt socket above the driver's side on the top of the dashboard, and a USB sits alongside this. There is also a USB in the front, in the middle of the dashboard. There are two USBs also located at the back of the handbrake, low to the ground. There's also a 12 volt socket high up above the sliding door on the driver's side, and a 12 volt next to the 240 volt sockets on the kitchen work surface on the left hand side. Finally, we have found an extra 12 volt socket in the cupboard where we keep the toilet. I've managed to work out a mystery that has been bothering me since I owned the van. Occasionally I plug things into the USB sockets and nothing happens. Other times I plug in and it seems to work. So this morning I've spent some time out here with the van. I've brought out a USB powered lamp and then I've just played in order to work out what's happening. I think I've got it now, and I'll show you what I mean. Here I'm going to demonstrate the problem we've been having with the USBs. On these USBs, as you can see, the lamp is on and will remain on if I take it out, and then if I plug it back in, it comes on straight away, whichever plug I choose, and will remain on as long as it's plugged in. Moving to the other USB slots, as you can see, the lamp is plugged in, it's turned on, but there's no power to it. I'll now switch on the stereo system. And as it powers up, you see the light come on. Interestingly, as I turn it off, the light will remain on for a short period, I presume because there's some kind of capacitor, but this will only be for a period of time and then it will switch off. It was this that was confusing me, as there were times when the USB appeared to work and then times when it appeared not to work, and this was frustrating. But at least I now know that the front two USB socket run off the infotainment system, and therefore they will not work when this has not been turned on. As you can see, the 12 volt sockets are working even though the USB sockets are off. Okay, so I've come inside for the next tip, which relates to the fridge. One of our very valuable subscribers has given us advice suggesting that prior to a long trip, it's best to cool the fridge down whilst the van is plugged into the mains, as this saves battery. Then, just prior to going on your trip, turn the fridge setting up to the warmest setting that obviously still keeps the food cold whilst you're driving, and this will conserve battery on a long trip. Obviously, once you get on site, if you have a hookup, you can hook back up and adjust the temperature to whatever you require, or if you're going off grid, of course, you can use the warmest temperature that will still keep the food fresh, thus conserving battery power for the duration of your stay. It's a great tip, and one that we will add to the tip we gave you in the first video, which suggested that you should cool down all items before putting them in the fridge, again saving the fridge work and thus battery power. I've popped outside now to briefly illustrate the next great tip. When charging your van using an extension leg cable, always make sure you reel it out completely to make sure that the cable doesn't overheat. I didn't make this explicitly clear in the first electrical episode, and it is important. Of course, I've used a really long extension here just to illustrate the point. We tend to use a much shorter one than this normally. You'll remember me showing you this cable in the first video, where if the weather's not so good here at home, we will also use this as our electrical hookup for charging on the drive. The other thing that we find very handy is this little bag, which holds the cable really tidily when we're on our trips and allows us to stow it away in transit. We're also thinking of getting a shorter version of this cable, just so that it's easier to handle when we don't need that extra length. Something not explicitly mentioned in the first electrical video is that the LED lights have actually got 3 different dim settings before they turn off. I'll demonstrate here. Full brightness, a little dimmer, and off. Finally, our last vlog was about the bike carrier and Towbar. One of our subscribers has informed us that the UK version of the Nugget can come with the electrical harness and coding required already on the van. This can save money when then going to install the Towbar. We feel that ours did have this too, but because we had the Towbar installed by the dealer prior to collection, there's no way of us telling. As always, we suggest you check this with your dealer. So there you go, short and sharp, and hopefully we've answered some of the queries that you may have been experiencing yourself, and also corrected some of the mistakes that you may not have been aware that we made. Thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing, please remember to subscribe. Have a good day.